Hello viewers, welcome to my channel. Hope you are well. So today in this video we are going to deal with a poem written by William Collins, and the title of the poem is Ode to Evening. So before going to the line by line analysis of this poem, let us first check the other things that must be needed to understand this poem well. So at first we will learn about the poet. The poet, that means William Collins, an English poet who was born in the year 1721 in Sussex, England. He was an Augustan poet. But being an Augustan poet, he is not only of the Augustan era. That means we cannot find in him only the Augustan type of characteristics in his poetry, but at the same time his poetry is marked with the romantics too. Okay, that means in the same time in his poetry we can find the romantic traits and at once the Augustan traits as well. So we can say that his poetry is an amalgamation of this Augustan type of poetry and a romantic type of poetry too. He was a very good friend of Dr. Johnson and David Garrick, one of the most renowned dramatic personas of that time. After completion of his studies, he chose to be a poet. That means he chose a poetic career. And some of his important major poetical works are Persian Eclogues, Ode on the Death of Thomson, Odes on several descriptive and allegorical subjects. And in the year 1747, after the publication of Odes on several descriptive and allegorical subjects, he faced a failure, and after this he became addicted to alcohol, and this led to his insanity. As a result, in the year 1759, at the age of 38 only, he died. So this is a short biography of William Collins. Now let us move to the title portion. So what is the title of this poem? The title of this poem is Ode to Evening. That means praise, a song of praise to evening. In this poem we can say the poet has bring the picturesque beauty of evening, the sereneness, the calmness that prevails after the din of a day is very much nicely portrayed by William Collins in his poetry. He has actually addressed evening as a deity, as a goddess, and is talking to her as if he is conversing one to one. Okay, and at the same time he is asking or requesting for bliss so that he can write good poetry. As evening is very much serene, very much calm, and leads us towards sleepy nights, likewise in this poem, this setting, this evening is bringing the mood of this poem, the essence of this poem, that is also sereneness and calmness too. So at the end of this poem we can see that the poet has portrayed several other images of evening during different seasons of the year, and with this picturesque beauty, with this description, the poet has ended the poem. So from the beginning to the end we can say the poet is praising the deity of evening, and thus we can say that the title of this poem, Ode to Evening, is completely appropriate. So now let's move to the publication history of this poem. So this poem was published in the year 1747 in the anthology named Ode on Several Descriptive and Allegorical Subjects. This poem is written in a single stanza, and it consists of 52 lines, and the lines are not rhymed. That means it is written in free verse. Okay, so this is the poem. So now let's move to the short summary of this poem. As I have already mentioned that in this poem we can see a nice picture, nice picturesque view of evening. The poet has very nicely described the beauty of evening, and and he has presented this poem as if the poetic persona is talking one to one with the goddess of evening, and is trying to praise her, we can say, and as a result the goddess is blessing him and is giving the mood that is needed to write this poetry, the sereneness, the calmness and other things that is very much an essence of an evening can be found in this poem too. Okay, Through his descriptive skill, we can say the poet has created an ambience in this poem that is very much Collins himself. Okay. After this, we can say that the poet is picturizing a nice picture, a nice colorful picture of different evenings that belongs to different seasons, because we can say that with the seasons, the evening, the color of the evenings differs, and with these beautiful pictures of different evenings of different seasons, the poet has ended this poem. So let's move to the line by line analysis of this poem. Before starting the poem, I must say here that I have already mentioned that the poem is in single stanza, but in some places you can see that there are two stanzas, and in some places you can also see that there are 13 stanzas. This depends upon the publication of this poem. Okay. But that doesn't matter at all. So let us read the poem. If aught of autumn stop of pastoral song may hope, chaste Eve to soothe thy modest ear. Here, the poetic persona is trying to please the goddess of evening. Here, autumn stop means the flute or pastoral song. That means pastoral songs is the typical pastoral poems which is written by idealizing the pastoral sides, that means the village sides. Okay, so with the use of flutes and the pastoral songs, the poetic persona is trying to praise the goddess of evening. Okay, so in the next lines, like thy own solemn springs, thy springs and dying gales. That means the poet is trying to make his song, make his poem very much like the evening, very much like the qualities of evening, that is very much calm, that is very much still. Okay, and there must not be any wild winds. Okay, so let's move to the next lines, number 6 and 7. O nymph reserved, that means the poet is addressing the nymph, the goddess of evening, that as if she is very much reserved, she is very much poised. While now the bright haired sun, that means the sun which is very much bright haired, sun rays are compared with hair. Okay, so that's why the sun is called bright haired, sits in yon western tent. That means it has already set in the western tent. Western tent means western sky, whose cloudy skirts, and surrounding the sun there are clouds, and that is why the poet is describing this as cloudy skirts, with braid ethereal wove. Braid means the embroidery, the fabric. Okay, and the fabric is of ethereal quality. This is not very much mundane, this is made of clouds and other things. Okay, overhang his wavy bed, and the skirt that is overhanging, that means the clouds that is surrounding the sun is overhanging on the wavy bed of the sun. Okay, that means the western sky. Now air is hushed, save where the weak-eyed bat with short shrill shriek fleets by on leathern wing. So the air is hushed here, air is still, completely still here. There is not even a light breeze except for the place where the bat is flying. Okay, and the bat is flying with its leathern wing, that is completely full of leather. We already know that the bat is not any bird that has its wings made of fur. Okay, with its leather, that is made of leather, that is made of skin, and the bat is flying there and making a little breeze, but except for that there is no such breeze at all. Or where the beetle winds his small but sullen horn, and there is not even any sound there except when the beetle, that means the little insects, is blowing its horn. That means whenever the beetle is singing its song, there is only the sound, otherwise it is completely calm and silent. There is no noise at all in the atmosphere. As oft he rises amidst the twilight path, that means when often he rises amidst the twilight path, that means in the dusky period, in the dusky portion of the day, that means the evening, whenever in the evening or during the evening the little beetle rises from its sleep, against the pilgrim born in heedless hum, it starts blowing its horn, that means it starts its singing going against the heedless hum. Now, who is heedlessly humming? No, this pilgrim can be the sun, the bat, or any human being who is passing thereby. Okay, so we may take that there is any person who is going through that place and he is humming unconsciously. And as a result, what happens? The beetle is singing, going against this. Okay. Now teach me made composed. So the poetic persona is addressing the muse or the goddess as composed and is requesting her to teach him to breathe some softened strain, so that she teach him some soft, some mellow strains, some mellow tunes. Whose numbers stealing through thy darkening veil. That means the numbers of these, the numbers of the odes are stealing through, are decreasing day by day, thy darkening veil, thy dark nights. That means very much like the evening is proceeding towards the dark night, very much like that the number of the odes are decreasing day by day. That means the poet's creation, the poet's creative power is lacking very much. Okay, and that may not unseemly with its stillness suit, and this obviously doesn't suit with the stillness, with the calmness of the evening, because we can say that a pastoral song or a song with a flute, this is very much calm and obviously add to the calmness of an evening. But as this is lacking in the part of the poet, so the poet is asking for the aid, for the help of the evening, of the goddess of evening, so that she could help him to write this poem. As musing slow I hail. So the poet is hailing, so the poet is welcoming. So the poet is actually we can say musing, he is meditating slowly, thy genial loved return, so that the evening's genial loved, that means the cheerful loved return, so that he can welcome, he can make the songs of the evening reappear on this earth. Okay, so I am stopping here. Hope this will be of help. If this helps you, then please give it a like, do share it with your friends, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching this video.